Hello and welcome everyone to the webinar. We really thank you for taking your time out to attend this one. This one is going to be a really informative and educational session, especially because of our speakers and the special speakers that we have today. Before that, we would really like to share our sympathy and support to everyone working on the front line in this pandemic, including doctors, nurses, hospital staff, people providing essential supplies like food and medicine, and also the delivery folks, everyone on the front line who's trying to make this world work, and everyone who's risking their time and risking their lives. We really thank them. And moving on further, before wasting a lot of time, since I'll allow the speakers to talk much about it, I'll possibly take another 2 minutes to quickly introduce what the webinar is going to be about. So what can we really expect in this session going forward? Uh, our speakers are really going to address what is the business operational challenge, what are the problems that enterprises, SMBs, and all the organizations are actually facing to continue their work and really increase or manage their productivity and really manage their losses as well, and what are the lessons that we are learning from this pandemic, and how do we move forward from here is what our speakers are going to address in depth. And they will also show how we are possibly using technology to literally solve these challenges, so that we welcome the new era, the digital era, with using making the most of technology and being the best at what we do. Another thing is, after the whole session of knowledge sharing and the demos that we're going to see, we'll have a quick Q&A with respect to whatever questions that you have. We can answer them, and possibly we may not be able to address all the questions considering the time crunch, but we'll try to address most of them. So keep the questions coming in. At whatever time you feel you have any question, feel free to open the questions window or the chat window and send out your questions, and we'll address them at the end of the webinar. And we have a free POC for all the participants out here today, as our effort to give back to people who are really trying to make this engine work during this hour of the need. So quickly moving on, what's special about the webinar is our speakers. We have first one, the one and only Sujit Varghese. He's the CEO and the man behind Data Semantics. He has built this company ground up, starting from 3 people to what we have more than 300 people now, and all bootstrap, model. So he is the one who's really built this company with a vision to enable organizations to harness the full potential of their data assets, and continuing to do that. And he has addressed millions of challenging environments at enterprises by delivering really innovative solutions. So there couldn't be another person who would be the best fit to explain how businesses should survive during this pandemic and optimize their BCP moving forward. Another speaker we have with us is Mr. Vignaraja. He's our head of innovation lab, and he's a brilliant guy. He has developed award-winning solutions at Data Semantics, and leads the entire innovation team, constantly bringing up new ideas and products to solve new challenges. And he's also one of our project leads, where he manages the entire project life cycle of all our key projects, and really ensures smooth delivery, and really ensures that all the challenges are definitely solved with a really good ROI for all our clients, right? So without wasting much time, I will hand over to Sujit, so that he can talk to you and address you guys. Over to you, Sujit.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining in. I really appreciate you giving us your valuable time during these difficult days, and we are happy to share some of our learnings and knowledge, which could probably help you in the current times and in the future as well. Now, moving on, we are right now, all of us are in a lockdown situation, whether by choice or by force. No physical offices zero cash transactions, no exhibitions, seminar, trade shows, no physical access to customers, no attendance recording. All these things are going up. Now, while this goes on, what has it really done to us is basically our behavior is changing, and so is everyone around. The behaviors are changing. We are getting into an habit of hesitation to touch many things around us. We don't want to touch an elevator button. Even if we do so, we keep our fingers isolated till we find an opportunity to wash our hands. In case the market opens up, I'm sure we don't want to touch menu cards that are available in the hotels, to exchange of cash, to IDs when we go into a front office where there is a verification required. There could be a lot of examples of how we become sensitive to touch. Basically, we don't want to touch things which are not known to us. Now, that is that is a behavioral trait that we are going to see for some time, and we need to really care about it. For it's not just about safety, it's also things that can be addressed. Now, outside the behavioral changes, there is also a lot of disruption which we are seeing when it comes to communication, service, and supply chain affecting businesses globally, right? So we are not in a position to communicate like before. Uh, Thanks to evolution of technology like video conferencing and virtual desktop, some of us are able to work and still be able to communicate remotely. However, when it comes to voluminous transactions, which involved a physical world, we have seen that going drastically down and to zero in many cases, right? So, what is that physical world which we always loved meeting people, talking face to face? The interactions has now literally become a virtual world. Now, this is where there are a lot of challenges to opportunities. We have never been prepared to meet or embrace this virtual world because we were all happy with our physical world, and we still want to go back there. But these behavioral changes to the pattern that we have learned is going to lie with us for a long time to come. So how are we embracing this virtual world is the key to the seminar, and how we can go ahead and take that. Now, when we go to this virtual world where we can find channels, different new channels to interact with customers, employees, and suppliers, we also need to be, what we need to be prepared is also how do we monitor SLA on what happens on these channels, or how do we really measure productivity, or how do we really measure the effectiveness of communication and the satisfaction that we leave behind. And that's where it is an opportunity for all of us to really look at learning new customer behavior pattern, to addressing an employee sentiment, to emotion and all that. Now, how can we really solve this? How do we uh, this has been there with us for long. People have been doing in bits and pieces. Now that the need is becoming more increasing. Now, I would like to talk about what is cognitive services in brief and AI. So it's about the machine's ability to interact or mimic a human behavior in terms of vision, speech, language, knowledge, and search, right? So computer today can see like how we human beings see each other, read faces, to read emotions, to analyze behavior, movement, most of the things through vision. It can recognize speech, talk back to us, translate, do multiple things. It can We can talk to in different languages. We can do it can really respond back to us in a fashion that we want, and it can be sometimes more knowledgeable and gives us the ability to really boost our productivity because of its ability to compute faster, right? So these are the broad five categories under cognitive services, that is vision, speech, and text. Now this, if we are embracing to our new physical world, uh, many of us probably know the answer is an intelligent bot that can recognize and talk to us and hear us. That's where we are driving this discussion today in terms of how can bots solve our problems. We would like to take you through few demonstration, quick, simple ones, and we'll also take you through how you could do face recognition for an attendance recognition, and then come back to how to go about building this. Is it really complex? Is it time consuming, or what are the pitfalls that you can land in when you try building these solutions? Because many of these are still new, and the complexity and the rate at which the technology is evolving to a lot of options that are there can be confusing for anybody out there. That's where we have spent probably about 150 man years in the last 3 years working on these solutions, different algorithms that are there to different platforms, and trying to evolve what's the best that should work for me and what's the cost at which I really need to run that. Now, before we get into the build part of it, I would like to probably we would like to show 2, 3 quick demos of simple chatbot solutions, and then come about build or buy part of it. Over to you, Pushkar.
Thank you so much, Sujit, for setting the context right and giving out this information about what really matters and how can we solve problems. Before we move on to Vigna, I just want to quickly tell you guys that if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the questions window or the chat window, and we'll address them at the end of the webinar. We already have some questions coming in, so keep them coming, guys. And if you're not able to hear or something like that, then you can quickly jump out of the webinar and join in again, so it'll be clear. I'll pass the baton to Vigna now. Vigna, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Pushkar. Thanks, Sujit. So hi everyone. Walking through demos on, as Sujit channels that no one has anticipated that the customers would be going there to inquire about your businesses. So what we have tried to do is integrate most of the channels through bot. So what I mean is trying to interact with your customers in these channels, either for your customer sales, after sales, etc., or even for an internal organization where you can have your help desk being initiated in Telegram, WhatsApp, or Microsoft Teams, where Teams I think becoming a very popular channel now. So you might think like, how do I automate my mundane tasks that is available in my IT service team, where how can I reduce the chunk of queries that is coming in to my team. So keeping that in the context, so how do you address your customers during COVID and post-COVID situations, and how do you automate certain frequently asked queries that you don't need a human to really answer that? So those kind of options that we look at, and it has gone to the next stage where AI is coming in, where you can actually integrate with a variety of data sources, CRM, it might be CRMs, it might be a ERP, etc., where you want to connect with your customers automatically, right? So that kind of age that we are entering into, and it is imperative that we have evolved into those kind of conversation, because the customers are moving towards those kind of virtual world. So what I will do, I have two demos to showcase. One is on simple internal HR bot, where you have a simple HR query that is being asked through a bot in WhatsApp. So that is one of the channels that I'll be showcasing that today. And another one was in Telegram. So Telegram is another channel that I'll be showcasing a customer sales order inquiry as well as a IT help desk query. Okay, great. So let's get started. So I'll just type hi. So this is a WhatsApp bot automatically responding to you. There's no human behind that. So it's just like AI platform that is running. It's trying to help us in terms of getting the answers sorted. So it automatically asks you that what you want to do today. So I want to apply leave. So that's what I want to do. Leave details. So as you see, like even if I try to, it is a natural language as such. So it tries to understand the context of what is the question is about. So I'll try to. I want to first understand what is my balance. So it instantly contacts our HRMS solution, which is one of the HRMS solution that we use, and it tries to get back my data automatically. And I can see I have earn leave, fully earned leave. So now I want to take off. Yes, it will say. So it's automatically asking a question back to me. Do you want to apply leave? So it tries to get the user engaged. So that's the user experience part of the bots, where how do you keep the users engaged? Now I say I want to do earn leave. Instead of typing an entire sentence, I say one. Now it will say what from which day to which day. So I'll say today and tomorrow, right? So this it will understand the context. What is today? What is tomorrow? So this is what the NLP is about. So if I open my inbox, there should be an email that would have been generated. So that I've applied an email, it has gone for approval. So this is a very simple flow on WhatsApp about automating your HRMS queries that most of the questions, mundane tasks that can be automated. So now this is on WhatsApp. So I'll just go to Telegram. I'll try to see the same bot is configured here. So the difference between you see in these two channels, the major difference is in WhatsApp you don't have the click option. So different channels have different limitations, and we know what works well where. So those kind of nitty-gritties, we have spent a lot of time to understand what works in which channel. So I want to understand about my orders, right? So I want to track my order. Let's say 1126. It'll try to give me the data about my order, like when it was ordered, and can I expect the payment shipment to be initiated, and when can I expect the delivery date to be done there. So this is a simple order management module where you'll be able to understand about your orders as well. You'll be able to track your orders. So all this information are pretty intuitive depending on the channel that you look for. So you'll be able to get those information as instantaneously in the bot itself. So we don't have to go to separate platform to get all this information. Again, another interesting query that we always get is how do I automate IT help desk channel? It can be in Teams, it can be in Telegram. The channel doesn't matter. So the use case is trying to understand how do I create a service request, right? Then it will ask for whether I'm looking for these kind of services, let's say hardware, and I have issued my laptop. So I say I have a challenge. Battery is not working. So I have a service ID created in service channels like Zendesk or ServiceNow, etc. So that's the brief of how a bot could work and what kind of features that it can do. I think I'd switch to Pushkar for Sudhir to continue further on this.
Thank you so much, Vigna, for this awesome demo. It looks really fascinating how we do it here at Data Semantics, right? Quick announcement, we are giving away this chatbot services as a free POC. More about that at the end of the webinar, so stay tuned. We'll switch back to Sujit now, so that we don't waste a lot of time. I'll just quickly hand over to Sujit. Over to you, Sujit.
Thanks, Pushkar. Now, the biggest question is like, how do I adapt it? How do I choose a chatbot? Should I build one or buy one? Right? I mean, there are myriads of options available today for us to choose from. I mean, there are enough SaaS platforms, products that are available for a chatbot running on multiple channels, and interesting pricing models that ranges from per bot pricing to per user pricing to transactional pricing and various things. Now, if I look at what are the factors that really need to go into consideration from a chatbot choice perspective, is basically one of the most important thing is obviously the channels in terms of. So today it's very difficult to restrict a customer that you chat with me only on WhatsApp, right? I want to be where my customer is, maybe a Twitter, maybe a social channel, maybe an ATM machine, maybe an Alexa, maybe a Google Home. All these are popular things which exist among people, and I need a mind share of my customer wherever they are, and enabling services there would be the key. So channel is obviously your first choice, and post the channel, if I have to push in information into this channel, you need a lot of sources that you can connect to. While it's an integration game, there is a lot of connectors that are available. You still need to be mindful of how you bring in information and work efficiently. Now, these are two aspects. Now, everybody wants to try an NLP bot. I mean, nobody now wants a question and answer based bot. So when you talk about NLP, the biggest challenge today is it 100% right? People talk about accuracy from 85% to 90% to 95% and machine learning and training and this going up. Yet there can be services disruption to confusion when we promise the level of NLP that we need to promise. So how do you handle NLP for 100% user experience is a combinational technique which you need to be aware of. And when you try that combinational techniques, you start seeing restrictions coming in terms of what you really want to communicate many times. So it works on some channels, it doesn't work on some channel. You can do some functionality. If I give a simple example, I want to mine text in a long document just to get the context of what I am looking at. It can be painful on a particular channel. So how should all this seamlessly work? And that's where the pricing model of SaaS products get complicated when you go across. And potentially you could be generating millions of interactions through all the channels, through all the users, your customers, to your internal this thing, which will give you an opportunity to mine that data for your own analytics. That's where the build or buy, it often gets confusing to determine what is the cost and the deployment time. And you need to really look at an use case and the channel in which you need to move ahead, whether you can use some readily usable out of the box. For everything there is a solution today from technology perspective, in terms of, can I run it on a PaaS based environment, or should I host it on a VM on the cloud or on prem, or channels and all that. So depending on that, the cost and timeline can vary significantly. If you are doing a quick start, very simple start, we should go with a buy methodology. But if you are looking at building something, if you're looking at something vast and transaction volume going up, you should definitely give it a build consideration too, because there are limitations every product offers, and it can be painful at a later point in time when the adoption grows and then switch over and things like that. So that's our build versus buy theory, and we have spent enough time and can guide you on how to go about in this journey of about choice. Over to you, Pushkar.
Thank you, Sujit. So we'll move on to the demos of face recognition and chatbots further. Before that, I already see a lot of questions coming in. Guys, keep them coming in. The more relevant questions you post, the more we'll help everyone to learn about these solutions, and how do we really tackle these challenges. And of course, the free POC coming up at the end of the webinar. Moving on to the demos, I'll switch over to Vigna. Over to you, Vigna.
Yeah, so thanks, Sujit. Thanks, Pushkar. So great. The second half of this demonstration is about vision analytics. So vision analytics, what we call is about what your camera, what your CCTV camera, or what is your IP-based cameras be leveraged on. So for example, how do you ensure that during this post-COVID scenario, like how do your employees would react? How do your factory workers would react if you ask them to go and use fingerprint for attendance, and if you want to understand whether they are wearing proper safety compliance equipments like helmets, goggles, masks, etc. So all this are mundane tasks that one has to really monitor what is going on. So now there are solutions, advanced solutions that can leverage your current CCTV setup, CCTV cameras, IP-based cameras, and even revamp your how do you look at attendance going forward, like, right? So how do you make sure that you give a safe environment for your employees to come to your office or come to your factories? How do you make sure that that process is managed effectively and gives us assurance to everyone that this is safe and secure? So there are multiple components to it, like what kind of advantages that these kind of solution that brings in. So there are multiple facets to vision analytics, which I'll talk about. But in general, you have people really think that facial vision analytics is about detecting humans only, right? So not about thinking about what else can we do with the available technology that we already have. So it's no upfront investment as such. You already have all this infrastructure in place in most of the enterprises. How do you leverage the solutions to help your employees or customers in a very at the same time you get some data and insights out of it to make some decisions out of it. So one can be like, for example, if you look at the facial recognition problems, you can give access to someone on a particular area using only face, so that you can avoid body tagging. You can avoid problems of contagion being spread if people are trying to use the same fingerprint scanner for multiple people are using the same fingerprint scanner, where contagion rate would really be alarming, where panic strikes. So all the situations are there. So in general, where do we use this, right? So for example, where do we use the solutions? It can be for different industries, from manufacturing to retail to even to your offices, to understand and give some secure attendance solutions to your employees. From the perspective of retail, if you look at it, and malls, you're trying to understand where your customers are moving inside the store. If you look at the factory, you try to understand whether your employees or workers are trying to segregate in a crowded area, or where they wearing helmets, are they wearing specific safety equipment they're supposed to wear, where they are at a particular point of time, are they going to a area where it is not supposed to be, it is like a boundary breach kind of condition, where they're not supposed to go into that area but they've gone, where no human can, like for example, if you have a security guy who's trying to monitor around 50 cameras, and it's very difficult for him to actually, even though solution today has capability to do that, but it doesn't give the accurate information at that moment instantaneously to get where, to understand where anomalies are being detected, whether the safety equipments are managed, etc., etc. So we can actually monitor crowd. You can have health and safety compliance brought through this existing infrastructure that you have. Using attendance, most of the use case that where attendance, large scale attendance are used is in the factory setting, where people are working on the construction areas and their hands are dirty. Sometimes the biometrics doesn't work. What do you do in those scenarios? And you cannot have ID cards. Sometimes you might have buddy punching problems. So how do you make sure that the number of hours worked by the worker is actually tallied against his payment? So all this process needs to be automated. Proof needs to be there. These kind of problems will be able to easily solve through facial recognition, through attendance solutions. Yeah, so at the same time, leverage the use of your cameras for trying to understand where people are moving inside a zone, inside a factory, etc. Right. So this is the key component of where you can use it. It might be very new to look at these kind of solutions, but these are some solutions that you can already leverage on with your existing infrastructure. Right. So generally, vision analytics comprises of around 4 to 5 key areas that we call. Each of these key areas are applied into different use cases as such. You have face detection, face recognition, human detection, tracking, and object detection, custom object detection. I'll just explain very briefly on what each component it is. So face detection and face recognition is nothing but you try to identify a particular face, whether you say that, oh, this is Vigna or Pushkar or Sujit. So that one aspect is helping us to identify who is coming in and how do we recognize those faces, and we run some computer vision models, AI models on those faces, and try to understand and recognize who this person is. In some areas you have privacy concerns, right? So in certain areas or certain boundaries, you are allowed to recognize, but that's why I've split the topics into detection and recognition. So to avoid problems of privacy, etc., etc. So the law still allows to identify whether this is a man, this is a female, whether what kind of emotion that they're trying to have. Anyway, you're not storing these faces anywhere. You're trying to extract the face features, right? So whatever you see here, you'll be extracting the face feature of eye, nose, eyebrows, etc., etc. So from the security point of view, there's no need to worry about whether you're breaching any law, etc. For these kind of situations. There are secure solutions, and we've been doing this at large enterprises, and it's very well received there. I'll just quickly show how attendance work in what solution that we have built and how secure it is, how accurate it is, and how easy it is to onboard a user. So it's this kind of an app that we have built, which you can deploy in your premises. You have a tablet mounted on a particular surface. People come and stand and then get their attendance recorded. You get a feedback mechanism that your face is recorded. So you try to save time and as well as cost, and as well as help your employees to provide a safe environment during this pandemic. And you actually can do kind of work planning, time scheduling that can be fed into these kind of systems. For example, in factory settings where you have 5,000 workers, 4,000 workers, 3,000 workers, you want to monitor them. It's a humongous task for any kind of operational manager to understand who has come in at what time, how should I deal with the payment, etc. So all this can be automated because at the same, the employee will have an obligation to check in and check out. He cannot do any kind of fraudulent transactions there. He cannot buddy punch. He cannot ask someone to do the buddy punching, etc. So I'll just quickly show how the app looks like. So it is an app that we built. You have following features of where you can add employees, you have reports, you can integrate with your HRMS solutions. You can actually schedule the calendar for each employee. I have a quick demo of how this is deployed. Since you wanted to see this, I've asked our employees who are working from various parts in India to record this video and send that to us. Just show this to you. So as you see, like this video has the face that is recognized. You get an instant gratification of what is an employee ID, so that you get an acknowledgement as soon as possible, and you also get an email notification or text message that you have checked in at this point of time. So this is how it works. It only takes 1 or 2 seconds to recognize you. So you just have to stand there, look at the camera, go away. So it's very straightforward, pretty accurate on the control conditions that we have set it up for. And it really helps in these areas where you try to not avoid or touch anything during this situation that we have at hand. Okay, so the second aspect and last aspect that I want to discuss before we go to the Q&A aspect, this is a kind of interesting problem that we are solving for multiple clients. So basically trying to understand what is human tracking. So we saw these are the components. I talked about face detection, I talked about face recognition. So now what is human tracking and what is object detection is what we're going to look at. Tracking is nothing but trying to understand. We're not trying to recognize anybody, but we're trying to recognize a human who's trying to move from path A to path B, and how is he moving, right? So that exact information is being tracked. So if, say, for example, you have 20 cameras in your factory, in your office premises or in your shop, you want to track how your employees or customers are traveling from point A to point B, which area. It's kind of a route planning or route path analysis. So you have human tracking, trying to understand where people are going from path A to path B. There's one more area called object detection, right? This is what I was talking about. People from point A to point B, how do they go on a particular control indoor zone or outdoor zone that you have mapped at wherever your CCTV camera is looking at. So I was talking about a scenario where you have 20 cameras in your setup, in your factory or in your retail store. You want to track how many people are coming in, how many people are going out, where they usually look at, where they usually stand, so that kind of information. How does this information help? So these kind of information helps us in understanding where to place our products, how to position our stacks or product stacks in a place where people are visiting more. For the example of malls, you can create instant campaigns, marketing campaigns where people are moving around. So those kind of information are critical for operations as well. They can understand where they should employ more workforce to maintain, to clean the washrooms, clean the floors, etc., etc. So I'll just quickly show how we have done the solution locally in our office. Try to understand how people are moving around. So this is one of our solution that we had deployed in our office. This is our office that was recorded quite some time back. You try to understand how many people are there at a particular point. So you have 5 people. Now, instantly you say, no, 2 people are present, right? So I will run through this video again. So you can see as people are coming in, you'll be able to understand there are 4 people at this point of time, and ultimately there are two folks. So how does information help? So we actually get the data out of how many people are there in each frame, and then map it something like this. So this is the output that you can expect of any kind of solutions that you can have, where you try to map where people are moving in a certain area, right? And you can try to find whether they are in this area, where you try to focus more. How do you position your products? How do you price your products based on that? And the use case is limitless, where you can apply to queue monitoring. You can try to see what people are purchasing using RFID tags, etc., etc. So that's the brief of it. And at the end, I just want to conclude that you can leverage all the resources that you already have to have these kind of solutions to add value to your business during these critical times, especially for safety, especially for attendance, and especially for a kind of compliance that you're looking forward to implement in your organization. Over to you, Pushkar.
Thank you so much, Vigna, for that insightful session. It was really cool to see those live demos where our system essentially tracks humans in real time, and it's really accurate as well. So without wasting much time, guys, we'll move on to the questionnaire. I see that we have a lot of people who have already posted some questions, so we'll start one by one. So the first question, I think Vigna, you'd be a better person to answer this. Which bot is this? Is this Power Automate? Is the question. It might sound a little vague, but I think we can clarify this doubt about what kind of bots we're using. Vigna?
Oh, okay. So is it about Power Automate? Is what the question is?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yeah. So I think Power Automate is kind of a robotic process automation tool. It kind of automates your processes, etc. So we call this bot because this also tries to emulate or automate your process or replaces a human. Power Automate is more of a RPA tool, but it has a component called Power Virtual Agent, right? So that is where you implement chatbots in the Microsoft framework. So the same thing can be done there. Our framework actually sits on top of Azure, using Azure services as such, and then you can, if you want, as Sujit rightly pointed out in the beginning, so you can easily connect this to your medium of channel that you'll require it.
Okay, great. So another question we have is, can the bot be connected to payment gateways? I presume that this is the chatbot channel integration that is being asked about right now.
Yes, right. So even like not only it can be authenticated as well, it can be connected to your payment gateways as well. Since everything is based out of an API factory that we have built and we are connected to. So any kind of payment gateway that is available, like Visa, MasterCard, or any kind of channels like PhonePe, Google Pay, etc., can be connected through this platform where customers can instantly participate for that payment process as well.
Okay, another question is, what about security of chatbot? Is there any risk, especially when connected to sensitive data such as HR or finance?
Okay, so what I didn't show in the demo was, if I don't know whether I'll be able to do that, but we had that feature where if you're releasing for your customers, I don't think customer will have a secure login, some kind of OTP that we can introduce where the bot can be authenticated so that it is not some robot or some random person trying to push in questions to the bot. If you're looking for your internal employees, you always can integrate with your Office 365 login. Once you want, whenever you log in or when the session is active, you can actually integrate WhatsApp with your Office 365 Active Directory, and then you can go ahead and ask questions. So that's how the security is integrated. You cannot just randomly ask a question and bot will not answer. So there is a process before the demo that I had already set it up. I logged in as the user using Office 365. Then it actually authenticated me. Then I was able to answer those questions. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much, Vigna. Another question is, are we dependent on any devices for the face recognition? solution? Like, are there any gadgets that we are dependent on, or can it run on any other systems or any other cameras?
Yeah, it can. As a solution, as of now, it can run on any device. It's a web app and an app that we have developed. It can be deployed on the app. That's the prerequisite, and it has to be. So the user experience that we are trying to bring in is the user has to get an acknowledgement saying that I have attended in, right? So because if you have a, for example, if you have just a CCTV camera looking at the particular person, there's no feedback mechanism. You need a separate screen to showcase that. So what we are trying to say is use your existing tablets that you might have. You just have to make sure that that tablet is mounted on a surface and then just set it up there. So it can be deployed in desktop as well. It can be deployed in apps as well. So it just depends on how the scenario is. We can address that.
Sure, thank you so much, Vigna. Now, another interesting question is, where do these bots run? Do they run on-premise or do they run on Azure?
Okay, so that's the question that every most of the customers have. Someone has have dependency on on-prem. So we have a hybrid solution. You can run standalone only on on-prem servers, and whenever required, we host it on Azure. So Azure on one of the cloud servers that we have. So it is a combination of both. If you want it, you can deploy it on-prem, and it can be deployed on cloud as well. If you want a combination of both, that's also possible. So it's completely flexible solution packaging that we have done for that. Yeah, over to you, Pushkar. Is that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vigna. So another quick question is, can we customize the bot for all Indian languages? This question is a very interesting question. Vigna, I would like to address that too.
Yes, yes. I think we have integrated the language capacity for Hindi, almost all the southern region languages that we have. I mean, most of this language functionality comes not only inbuilt, so you leverage the use of Bing, you leverage the use of Google language search APIs, try to use that and leverage and integrate that. So it's pretty accurate. You have the Indian players like Haptic, where they already have built a custom framework on top of these platforms from Microsoft and Google. So that's a key area where if you want to address regional customers on their own language, it can be done as well.
Okay. Thanks so much, Vigna. Another quick question is, do you require an extensive development life cycle to deploy these products, and what is the deployment time for at any given point of time for the face recognition system?
Okay, I'll leave it to Sujit to answer that, but just quickly to understand, just to give a perspective, it is very straightforward because it's all kind of integration area that we are trying to do. And as Sujit was telling in the earlier demo, where build was buy, right? So I think Sujit, you want to take this question?
This was on face recognition, right?
Both
Yes.
bot and both. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is basically how prepared are we in terms of, I mean, when you look at it, the channel part of it or the framework part of it can be deployed in hours, not weeks or days. But the typical questions that would come in and the integration associated can vary based on the APIs and complexity associated with the systems, right? And training a face hardly takes a minute once we capture the photos. So it can be a quick deployment if planned well with all the prerequisite.
Yeah, I think that should sum up the answer, Sujit. Thank you so much. Another quick question we have is, on the cost factor as well, like who can really afford these, solutions? Could it be startups? Could it be enterprises? And how is it worked around, or is it dependent on the requirement?
It can be adapted by everyone. It's not restricted to an enterprise or a small company. The number of integrations and the channels as it go up, the cost of it definitely goes up too, right? So it's about how we can look at what are the touch points that I really need to optimize my cost. Of course, at scale comes the benefit. So there are benefits associated with that too.
Great. I think that answers the question. Another quick question is, do we have the technology to scan documents?
So if you're talking about scanning documents, yes. But if you want to recognize a person from a scanned document, technically can be done, but should not be allowed. So we can detect a fake face if somebody shows a photo of a person onto the camera which is mounted. It would not allow the attendance. But at the same time, if you just want to scan the document and get get the information from it, that's also possible on the bot.
That sums up the question really well. Thank you so much, Sujit. Thank you so much for the questions, guys. Keep them coming in. You can write to us as well. So due to the time crunch, we'll possibly address, just one or two more questions. So one question is that, is how accurate is the face recognition attendance solution?
Okay, so we see that results coming out is pretty accurate because we have a very controlled environment for attendance. How do we capture? How do you? So we know the know-hows of where it could fail, how to avoid that. We have few features like retraining. For example, today I might have a beard, right? So the first day my photo might have been uploaded in a different way. Over the time, I might grow a beard. I might shave full shave. So it might it needs to be intelligent enough to understand the change between the faces itself for the same ID, right? So those kind of features we have implemented, like retraining the model every week to make sure that the model is up to date to identify the existing person in different scenarios, as well as have ambiguity management. So we have 100% accuracy because attendance cannot be compromised as such. You cannot say Vigna is present against Pushkar. So those kind of scenarios, when that kind of conflict comes, we have a model immediately raises an alarm, sends that to an admin called ambiguity management, where the admin tries to correct the or tries to say that this is the correct picture of the person. Then it retrains the model and it again goes in the field to correct that. So we have not seen during this deployment side of things where we have seen 100% results, but nevertheless, like you should have those kind of features to address the pain points sometimes you might have. So we have those as well on that.
You can make it 100% provided you can control it. You can write
Yeah,
rules associated with that. It's not just AI alone which gives you 100% results. So it's the know-how of how to make it work.
yeah, correct, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vigna and Sujit. Another last question that we'll be, able to address is, does the chatbot work on voice as well?
Yes,
Vigna?
I think, yeah. I think I'll just reiterate. I think Sujit was mentioning that in his slide as well. So Alexa and Google Assistants of the world, I was reading that ICICI Bank has released a Google Assistant app to access your account details, pay your credit card dues, understand your payments, etc., transfer funds. So those are becoming a popular consume information where you interact with voice assistant. Instead of typing, you just speak to the bot. That's an interesting area, and we have it can be done that it can be implemented there as well. It's just a extension of the channel. The core message remains the same, right? So it's an omni channel, so it doesn't depend on where you want to integrate these solutions with, whether be chat, voice. So AI actually comprises of vision, vision, voice, audio, text, speech, knowledge. So this entire components has to speak to each other to achieve any kind of automation that we are looking for in the future.
Thank you so much, Vigna, for that insightful answer and the insightful session. Next up, we'll wrap up the Q&A session for now. Of course, you can, write to us and with your queries, and we will be able to address them offline of this webinar. So our representatives will reach out to you and address each and every question of yours. Don't worry about it. Moving on to the announcement. So we are giving a free POC of the chatbot on any one source and any one channel, depending on your environment as well. To quickly, test in your organization whether this solution would really be beneficial for you and how can you really leverage it, especially during the pandemic and post the pandemic, right? Vigna, you want to add something to that, Sujit?
Yeah, so basically we want to encourage you to adapt this technology. For we all have been struggling at many places to find communication. I mean, there are a lot of communication gaps that we come across on what we want to get answers to. And if you want to try it out, try a channel and a source, and so that you would know the cycle and the adaptation at which you can go, and how useful it can be for your enterprise, addressing people at any time, and learn new patterns.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that just a point there. So in terms of channels, there are a lot of good channels that are available already. Teams, WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook Messenger, etc., etc. So Teams is becoming very popular in terms of the engagement inside an organization. Outside the organization, from your customer's perspective, Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, is all popular channels that you can have your bot tested across. Yeah.
So that's about the free POC, guys. I hope you will be really able to leverage this solution and probably bring in really smooth workflows in your organization and really release those bottlenecks that you have in your day-to-day mundane processes, uh, and make your team more efficient. Now, we'll wrap up this session with this announcement, and thank you so much for your attendance, guys. I see that there are more queries coming in. Thank you so much for making this session so intriguing and so interactive. What we will do is we will reach out to you. Alternatively, you can also write to us, and we'll ensure that we address each and every query or question. Or if you want to have any further discussions regarding the technology, I'm sure our technology experts will be able to help you out with questions regarding any implementations or any further questions about deployment of these implementations as well. Thank you so much for your participation, guys. Thank you so much for your attendance. We appreciate your time. Please take care of yourself and be safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.